Chiloba, the truth about electoral agency contracts. We wonder who's actually saying the truth now. In studio this morning, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, we have Gabriel Muduma, political analyst, and Samuel Atandi, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Alego Song. Thank you all for making time for us.
Thank you.
This morning, and I'll start with the story about IEBC. Who ate what? Election chiefs exposed the rot. The story is on page, I think, 4 of the Daily Nation. Now this is the revelations coming from Ezra Chiloba, the CEO or former CEO, after meeting the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. The sacked CEO told of the IEBC alleged massive meddling in the procurement of goods and services by commissioners ahead of last year's general election, laying bare the nasty boardroom wars that the organization in the past 1 year. Now, this is happening after Chebukati had also, and the other commissioners talked about the CEO. They said the former CEO was accused of single-handedly procuring 6 billion KIMS kits. That is the voter identification and result transmission kits. The acting CEO, Marjan Hussein Marjan, said the decision to procure was not approved by the plenary and that Chiloba did it alone. Chiloba today is accusing Chebukati. The drama in IBC has not stopped. I'll start with you, Honorable Tandi.
Thank you, Hussein. I think this IEBC issue is something we have discussed here severally. What I want to observe is that, from my reading, IEBC at the time of elections, they were divided into 2 camps.
That's not in question anymore.
Yes, the camp led by Chebukati, the commission, appears to me as the team that was serious on having a free and fair election.
The camp led by Chebukati?
Yes, the commission.
Okay.
The wing that was led by Chebukati. And this wing, that is, the CEO was very arrogant and was very powerful, and I think was listening to some forces that were keen in undermining the 2017 elections. And I think he succeeded. What we are seeing now is the CEO trying to fight back after the commission sacked him from his position as the CEO. And I do not trust Chiloba anymore. I don't
You've already picked a side, clearly.
I don't think Chiloba is honest. He's trying to fight to clear his name, after he bungled the elections.
Honorable Elachi, I don't know what you think of it.
Well, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
For me, I would say that, one, we are forgetting there was a history of this commission. There was a commission that was that we removed. That commission had done, I think, 70% of this job. And therefore, there's no way the CEO of the institution would decide to have doing procurement alone. He knows very well and you know, when we talk about it, definitely we have minutes to show who passed the minutes for this tender to go through. Because there's no way Chiloba will do without the approvals of the commissioners. But now when Mheshimiwa says there was a side, then for me, we don't even need to hear about this commission anymore. If already we had 3 on this side who wanted the elections to go well, and this other side wanted, I don't know what, was being influenced with other quarters, then this is a commission that we need to agree, all of us. Let them go home now. I think their time is up. The most important thing, the whole commission now. And when we are saying the whole commission, we look at all the issues. You know, the problem we have in our country, Hussein, is that we look at an institution just at the level of, you have removed the CEO, but have you resolved the problem? I think that's why when the next CEO comes in, you will find the same problems, because we don't resolve the inner problems of that institution. We don't come out and say, now let's look at this institution fully and ensure when you're bringing in the new team, it is an institution that will move with respect and people also having that will to work with them. Right. People feeling that now we can trust the next team to move on. So for me, I looked at Chiloba yesterday and I knew definitely he has to defend himself. But 2, because he's now out, he's now more brave to bring in the issues that were now ailing them. You know?
Yeah. Because here he actually says he accuses Chebukati of being dishonest, actually of intellectual dishonesty. And he says that he wanted Reflon, a South African company, given the tender. He also says he introduced, in fact, I'll quote him, as is in the newspaper story in the Daily Nation by David Moira and Justice Wanga, says, and I quote, "The chairman introduced me to this company, and 2 days later he sent me a memo asking me how far I had gone. The decision of the court settled the matter. The chairman has integrity issues." Again, he says these contracts were a clear case of conflict of interest, but when I confronted him, that is the chair, he said that he had resigned from the firm before joining the commission. Thus, there was no problem. There's a huge problem, and the commission can actually, I mean, all this back and
Before
forth.
you just go
the commission
to him,
cannot account for 9 billion shillings. Yeah.
You remember this South African farm?
Yeah.
They went to the procurement authority for some case. So you can you imagine at that time they pulled each other until by the time we were now agreeing with the Dubai company, they had to go through that process of POA. Yeah.
You know, Hussein, and I believe we are already from the same script here. I think first of all it looks more of a disservice. The way the chairman is accusing, now he's coming out to accuse Ezra Chiloba, and from the you know, the early times when we were discussing this issue about IBC, it came out very clear that there were inside boardroom wars, and everybody could tell. What I'm finding a little bit funny is how the chairman has gone on to say that someone like Ezra Chiloba could single-handedly actually choose the companies to work with, like in matters procurement. By the way, that's a very, very blatant lie, knowing very well that the CEO is just a secretary when it comes to sitting in the board.
Remember, he wasn't alone when he was making that.
Exactly. So
the acting CEO also confirmed that.
You see, if the CEO, and first of all, I don't believe that the CEO can make such
unilateral decisions.
No, that cannot work, because when you look at the grand scheme of things, there was a time actually the chairman back then was very cross with him when we all realized that there were several companies which were going for the procurement, and he actually the one, and I quote him back in the day where he was saying that they are not flower girls when it comes to procurement. They will sit as a board and it will be determined which company they'll go with. Yeah. So it's a blatant lie for him to say that it's Ezra Chiloba who, you know, guided everybody through that procurement. So that does not augur well. The other thing is that this issue of procurement, at any given time, the board can nullify procurement. All right? They had all the machineries to do so. The other thing that doesn't sit pretty is what
although the time was not on their side.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. How many times, Hussein, how many times did those people go to court? So,
many.
Of course, they had time. And when you're talking about, you know, nullifying a procurement, doesn't mean that it's the only company that you're dealing with. They had the time to move out of this country, to go all the way to Al Ghurair. I mean, they had ample time. All right? The other thing is this issue, which I don't think will leave him. The association with Kuto and Associates, the law firm which he says he worked with, who said that thing stinks to the high heavens. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you say you resigned. You cannot do that. What if you're still left as a director? You just resigned and then what? This is a company you're associated with. This is something that, you know, everybody knows you are part and parcel of. So I think those are some of the few things, and I think this cat fight, let me call it that, will continue. Well, this continues.
I would say both of them should understand they have issues to answer. And if I was them, you sit down and reorganize yourselves as you move out, so that you are one team.
Do whatever you have to do, but all of them have to move on.
Oh, yes.
Do you agree with that? That everybody has to move out?
No, of course. I think, and it's not in a bad way, I think they've outlived their, I don't want to say their usefulness, but I think they did what they did, but I think it's a high time we get new clean commissioners.
Yes, IBC is supposed to be an independent commission. Unfortunately, they allowed themselves to succumb to political interferences from external forces. And on the question of procurement, I don't think that Chiloba is going to get away from this. Procurement is purely the work of the Secretariat. The Commission, their work is basically to develop policies guiding procurement. So it is possible that the team that sat in the procurement committee were appointed by the CEO, and the CEO must take responsibility for this. I want to blame Chebukati for giving his previous law firm some job to do in the commission. This one, he has to take this blame. If it is indeed true that his previous law firm was awarded some job, I think this one he has to take blame. But in a nutshell, I think Chiloba is wholly responsible as the CEO and as the head of the Secretariat.
As far as procurement is concerned.
Procurement is concerned, the commission could only nullify the procurement done by Chiloba. But also, as you have rightly observed, there was no time. And we're all worried. We wanted to go to elections.
Okay. Yeah. Look at this. He told the MPs that Chebukati called him 7 times, so I'm assuming their phone records, to discuss procurement matters on phone, and that the commission would meet in his absence and agree on matters that he would later be told to approve. I quote him when he says, "I signed those minutes, that is of meetings held in his absence, in trust of the organization until I discovered that I was being thrown under the bus. A meeting without a CEO and notice is not a valid meeting," Mr. Chiloba said.
This is incompetence. He knows his job. Why would you sign minutes for a meeting you did not attend, yet you're the CEO? Actually, on this alone, he should be charged.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He should be charged because it shows that he's incompetent. He did not know why he was appointed the CEO.
No, that one I would agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would agree with you. I mean, as a CEO, really, you cannot just sign minutes on trust of somebody. You have to go through them, and I believe you also have helpers in the office who will actually assist you to go through those minutes. So signing, and by the way, signing is almost putting up, a legal identity.
Yes, yes.
All right. So you just don't go sign things unilaterally.
Right.
So I think on that one, I agree with Mheshimiwa. That one he has to take the fall.
Do you think, and especially the political class, because I look at this differently, it's important to talk about misappropriation of funds because 9 billion shillings is unaccounted for.
Right. Yes.
But are we focusing too much on misappropriation of funds and we forgot about the bungling of the election? We completely forgot about that. Because what is happening in the public domain now is who made a mistake in as far as procurement is concerned. We seem to have forgotten that the election was bungled and nobody has taken responsibility for that.
I think we have, simply because of the handshake. The reason why we no longer focus on the ills.
It doesn't make it right.
Yeah, it's true. We really need to do it. And I think right now, the political class, as members, we are focused on how the entire ABC can be overhauled to have a new and a credible team of commissioners and the secretariat. I think that's the focus now. Is we are actually on the healing aspect. But I think for corruption and mismanagement of the commission, we are looking forward to some people taking personal responsibility.
What about you?
Well, I think as politicians, we must agree we are the ones who have always put IEBC into problems. Right. We must take that responsibility for once. Because if we wait until you're about to go to another election, is when you're disbanding one commission to bring in a new one, and you're expecting them to be angels to work and make things run smooth, then we are wrong. So for us politicians, if we cannot deal with this issue now, and then you want to wait, when we are going now for census, and after census, we are coming in for boundaries, and you want to now continue with the same commission, how will they do for us?
Already, actually, what she's saying is very important. I mean, you're promising, I mean, you're the sitting MP here,
Yeah.
but you're promising to overhaul. Look at the time now. It's it's actually three years and 8 months to the next election.
Hussein, maybe you see we have this Building Bridges initiative program which is ongoing. And
then the Building Bridges, Mheshimiwa, should help us to say, disband now, prepare now for 2022.
Building Bridges team is moving quite fast. And I agree. Within a short time, we are going to have the recommendations. You remember, one of the items that they're handling is the question of bungled elections. So I think we are going to have some recommendations around this.
But let me ask you.
I think one of them
is. Do you need the Building Bridges on
as
that?
politicians?
We are.
I mean, it's already. This happened before the Building Bridges initiative team. Everybody knows the election was bungled. There's no. In fact, I remember when DPP, Keriako Tobiko, said immediately after September 1st last year, give me 21 days, and they're going to, take action, or they'll get a report from IBC as regards the Bengal election.
Yes.
IBC themselves are not even giving. In fact, their report, again, so far has been mostly on these issues of our procurement rather than who is actually responsible for Bengal election. So why would you need Building Bridges initiative to tell us or tell Kenyans what to do?
Yeah, I think you're right. We need some action, some prosecution to begin. And this cannot wait. I think Building Bridges is going to look at the entire electoral system to see how in future we can have elections that are not contested. I think. Yeah.
First of all, it's also nice to be fair, notwithstanding the Hassan-led commission, which was actually also bungled out of office.
Yes.
So we kind of knew, what we were walking into. And like Mheshimiwa Elachi has said, we also are to blame for some of the things that happened. The one thing that I don't think will come out of the building bridges is because we already have a blueprint. And I don't know why everybody runs away from this. The best blueprint we ever had was the one that we were left by the Kriegler-led commission. That has always been there. When you look at the Agenda 4, not to be mistaken by the Big Four agenda, the Agenda 4 stipulated very clearly, before you go into any election, give it 2 years. You're not purchasing anything, you're not hiring anybody. Meaning that an election team and all equipment and everything ready to deliver is put in place 2 years, 24 months before we run into an election. If we are going by that narrative, I think we're already late. Because you're looking, one of the things you're looking at the boundaries review, and then you're looking at census, which will take, which will take us to, which will take us to about 2021. Then what are we saying?
Then we will come now thinking of this.
Then we will come back to fight these fires, not fully well knowing that we had a document that we'll all agreed to support way back in 2007, 2008. So Hussein, sometimes I really sit down and ask, who is fooling who? We can't wait. I mean, are we going to push this again to the building bridges? We don't need building bridges for this one. We already have a blueprint, which we just need to effect. You see, the issue of IEBC, and we saw that when the Hassan-led commission was bungled out of office, we realized, by the way, we were going to be actually in a very tight spot. But we didn't care at that time, because we just needed people out of office. Yeah. And what were we left with? We were left with a shell. Now, that was not enough. We took these people to court again on almost weekly. They were in court, and yet we expected them to run an election. So as much as we are pointing, fingers at them, we also must point fingers at us. Yeah, okay. We were actually joking with that process. A
large part of that was his party, although they were saying they were rightfully doing so.
Yeah, you're
within your rights, right?
We are because we had the perception that, and I think it was confirmed, that this team was not going to give us a credible election.
Yes, I mean, it was a fact later on that there were divisions in the commission.
Yes. So you'd rather have left the Hassan-led commission to continue?
No, Hassan-led commission was even more dirty,
So what happened in between, Honorable Atandi? I mean, so then came the handshake, and what happened to the reform calls for IBC by ODM? What happened? It's a year down the line.
You see, we realize the reform process cannot be driven by ODM alone. Reform processes must be true. We must integrate everybody, and that's where we insist the Building Bridges team is going to be the solution.